Hello there. Happy Wednesday. It's time for the check in. Let me know where you're tuning in from. I want to introduce myself. My name is Kiera Brown. I'm a counseling intern here at Joanna Snow Ministries. We're located in downtown Mobile, Alabama, and we provide services for couples, teens, children, adults, individuals. So we are here to help. We offer reduced fee services. So that means when someone cannot afford the full service of what a therapy session costs, we reduce the fee to make it more affordable to them so that they can get the care that they need. I also want to tell you how you can help and support us do what it is that we do. That link that just dropped right there at the bottom of your screen is the link to give financially. So go ahead and visit that link if you would just like to be a blessing and you would like to help in someone else's services. Maybe you yourself, you may say, I don't need therapy services, but I could help with someone else in their needs. So nothing is too big, nothing is too small. Just head to our website that you see at the bottom of this video. And so you will be helping us out a whole lot in helping us to just be a blessing to the community around us. We serve the great state of Alabama. At the very end of this, I will introduce you to the wonderful team here at Joanna Snow Ministries. Would you do me a huge favor and press the share button? I would love for you to share this with your friends and share this with those who are watching in other places. So share this video with your friends. Share this video. Let everyone know that you are, I'm grabbing my water here, that you are watching us for the check-in, Joanna Snow Ministries. My name is Kiera Brown. I am a counseling intern here, and I serve the state of Alabama. The population that I see, couples, teens, children, and individuals. So I would love for you to just press that share button really quickly. So we're getting ready to get started. Let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from, where you're watching from. This week, we are talking about people pleasing. We're going to be talking about what is people pleasing. I have it up right here. We're going to be talking about what I have my objectives up. See how I get it to go big here. Trying to figure out how I get my thing to go big. There we go. There we go. Finally got it up. This week we're talking about people pleasing. We're talking about the overview. This is the overview of this entire presentation tonight. What is people pleasing? What causes people pleasing? Why do we do it? What are the causes and the psychological effects of people pleasing? And how do we stop the people pleasing? I meet so many people who tell me I'm such a people pleaser. I don't know. I can't stop. I'm having a hard time with my boundaries. I don't know what to do. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit today. We're going to talk about people pleasing. Okay. So if you would just hit that share button, send it to a people pleaser in your life. Don't tell them I said it, but just tell them, hi, this is a great video for you to watch. Just send it to them in the DM. Share it with them in the messenger. Okay. So we're going to be talking about people pleasing. So grab your notepads, grab something comfortable. If you're driving, hello to you. Be careful on the roads. We're going to be just discussing people pleasing a little bit. So get going to my next slide here. What is the definition of people pleasing? What does it mean to be a people pleaser? Does anybody know what that means and what that looks like? So if you're a people pleaser, it means that you are seeking approval and validation from others, often at the expense of your own needs. So wait a minute. If you are a people pleaser, that means you are seeking approval and validation from others, often at the expense of your own needs. Wow, take a minute and let that sit in. Seeking approval and validation from others at the expense of your own needs. Okay, so We're going to explore this concept, okay? We're going to explore what it is. We're going to explore the underlying causes, its effect on mental health, and practical strategies for overcoming this behavior. Understanding this tendency is crucial as it can significantly impact our relationships and self worth. So, the next thing, do you know what people pleasing is? There are characteristics of people pleasers, and you may find yourself falling in just a few of these you may realize that you have a few of these characteristics when it comes to people pleasing as I go through the list. So excessive compliance with others needs or requests, difficulty asserting one's own needs, fear of conflict and disapproval. Whoa. So I want to say this. Um, if you are in a ministry or you work a job and you're on a team, sometimes your people pleasers are the people that appear to be your team players. The people that you don't really have. I hear it all the time. you don't really have you don't really have trouble out of them. You're like, oh, I can always depend on this person. Oh, they're always going to do anything I ask. They are very compliant. They never give me any trouble. That's, I mean, I know it sounds good, but that's not always healthy, because that sounds like a people pleaser. Whatever you ask them to do, they're going to do it. You never have any complaints out of them. You never have any trouble out of them. I want to tell you that people that go along with everything and never complain are usually not healthy people. So you have to examine yourself and ask yourself, do I care that people please me, or do I care that people are healthy? Right? So people at some point, if you work with them years, they should at some point disagree with you. They should at some point tell you, I can't make it. They should at some point say no. And if you find yourself being the person who just has this perfect attendance record, then with everything in your life, chances are somewhere you're depleted. Difficulty asserting one's own needs, fear of conflict and disapproval. The common behaviors of people pleasers are always agreeing with others. See, when I said the team players, I believe that a team player, you should always be support. I mean, you should be supportive, but you're not going to make everything. You're not going to be able to go along with everything. Some things you should have disagreement about. A lot of times when people are in relationships, they want relationships that avoid conflict. They want relationship that doesn't have of conflict in it. They want relationships um that they want the relationships that just are a field of flowers all the time, and that's not reality in no relationship, right? So always agreeing with others, apologizing frequently. You ever find yourself doing something so simple, so small, and then you're like, "Oh, I'm sorry." You bump into something at a store and you're ready to apologize to the shopping cart that you bumped into. You're ready to just always apologize. As soon as someone brings up an issue, you take blame for it, right? Putting others' needs first. You will neglect yourself in taking care of others, right? And that is a people pleaser. A person who just said, "Oh, I just put everybody first. I put everybody before me. I just put everybody before me." You know why you do that? Because you're people pleasing. And you are your responsibility. If you're taking notes, write that down. You are your responsibility. If you don't take care of you, who else is going to take care of you? Think about that. If you don't take care of you, who else is going to take care of you? Who else is going to be the person that makes sure that you're okay? Who else is going to make sure that you're well? I let that sink in, because sometimes I think we get a trophy for putting other people first. And people pleasers sometimes put other people first in hopes of love and acceptance. In hopes of love and acceptance that these people won't even give you, that they'll never be able to give you, right? So we're moving on. What are the common causes of people pleasing? I want you to really, really pay attention to this, because you really can't change a thing until you understand why you do a thing, right? So, childhood experiences. If you've had overcritical parents or conditional love, they didn't love you if you did something or you didn't do something, or they were just on you about every little thing. They're screaming at you if you didn't do this, and they're fussing and beating you if you didn't do this or do that. Like, I'm not talking about discipline, but I'm talking about overcritical, just, like they want you to clean the floor with a toothbrush type of thing. So that will create someone who's a people pleaser, because you're afraid of conflict, because you believe everybody is going to react the way your parents did. The next thing I want to say is low self-esteem. Low self-esteem, the lack of self-worth, can lead to seeking validation. You don't think you're enough, you don't think you're well, so it's going to cause you to go to other people and seek their validation. Cultural, societal influences, cultural expectations to maintain harmony and avoid conflict, right? So the roots of people pleasing, they can lie in your childhood experiences, um, fear of rejection, low self-esteem, societal influences that emphasize compliance can also contribute to this behavior. When we're even in the context of children, as we're talking about people pleasing, yes, we want children to listen to their parents and obey their parents and respect their parents, but we don't want to raise people pleasers. You don't want to raise someone who is going to just go with everything that anybody tells them to do because they're afraid of conflict. Because what will happen is they'll start complying with the wrong people and the wrong things. Everybody in authority will not be giving the best instructions. Okay. So we're going to talk about the psychological effects of people pleasing. What are the psychological effects of people? Do you know that affects your mental and emotional health when you are a people pleaser? Right? So some of the psychological effects in people pleasing include anxiety and stress. Right? You're constantly worried about the opinions of others. Burnout. You neglect your personal needs and you lead to emotional exhaustion. Sorry, I said exaltation. But when you start noticing you become cynical about a thing, when you become cynical about something, cynical about a thing, then you probably, like, something you used to love, right? You used to love going here. Now you're just like, I'm just over it, right? So usually in those places, it's because you're burnt out. You need a break. You don't want to come to work no more. You don't want to be at church no more. Why? It's not that you don't like it. It's just that you just, so much is being required of you. You're burnt out. So resentment, feeling unappreciated and resentful towards others. So when you're people pleasing, most of the time you're really people pleasing for something that you hope that they will give you, and they don't. And when they don't give it to you, you resent everything you've done. You ever say, I do so much for others and nobody ever do nothing for me? You know why? Because you should stop doing so much for others. Stop doing so much for others. And I know this sounds so ungodly, and I know this sounds so unJesus like, because wait, I'm a Christian. I have to serve others. We serve others within our capacity, right? We serve others within our capacity, right? So, authenticity issues, difficult forming genuine relationships. When you meet someone and you're just doing everything that you want them to do and be and all of that, and they're just, well, you can't even be honest about what type of music you like. They're like, well, I like hip hop. Okay, well, I like hip hop too. No, you don't. So you end up being friends with someone that you really shouldn't have been friends with because you weren't genuine, right? So those are the psychological effects of people pleasing. I want to move on to some other effects of people pleasing. Waiting on my slide to move with me. It's not moving with me. Okay, there we go. Physical effects of people pleasing. Uh-oh. We're going to talk about the physical effects of people pleasing. So what are some physical effects of people pleasing? I put on, that's supposed to be of. Stress related health issues. When you find yourself having constant headaches, digestive issues, and fatigue, impact on sleep, difficulty relaxing and restful sleep. Ongoing neglect of self-care leads to exhaustion, right? So when you have a life that you live of people pleasing, at some point it's going to affect your physical body. It's going to affect you physically. Physically, people pleasing can manifest as stress related health issues, right? It can negatively impact your sleep and energy levels. So sometimes the things that we do, things that affect us psychologically, mentally, and emotionally, those things can really have a great impact on our physical health. So you want to make sure that you prioritize your well-being, because when you're people pleasing, you're so busy thinking about others, you haven't realized that you only got 4 hours of sleep. You haven't realized that you just exhausted. You haven't realized that you're having headaches. You haven't gotten enough rest. You haven't got enough water, right? So that's how people pleasing can show up in your physical body. But we're going to talk about recognizing people pleasing behaviors. I know I mentioned a little bit of it, but there are wait, let's go to fear of people pleasing. What is the fear? That's a very big thing, right? People pleasing, there's a root of fear, right? A fear of disapproval, concern of what others think, fear of conflict, avoiding confrontation to keep peace, fear of being seen as selfish, worrying about negative perceptions of self-care. This is very common, especially for those of you who serve the Lord, or you serve the ministry and you serve others. Sometimes you just need a break and you need to not serve for a day, and you need to not serve for some time. Maybe you need to step back and take care of yourself. Sometimes you need to adjust your load, and people will take that as if you are no longer in love with God, you're no longer serving God, and that's not true. You have to serve God within your limitations. You don't have to run yourself in the ground in the name of serving the Lord, right? You have to be a good steward over your mental, emotional, and physical health. And I know sometimes I know sometimes some things require sacrifice, but you can't always have consistent just sacrifice, 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 and there's nothing else left, right? So that's those worrying about negative perception. Some people think if you're prioritizing self care, then you're selfish, right? Being seen as selfish. Oh my God, you're not thinking about anyone else. You're just thinking about yourself. They're going to think I'm only thinking about myself. No, you're prioritizing yourself. See, selfishness is when you think about only yourself. Self care is when you prioritize yourself. You cannot give from nothing. And let me tell you something, self care is not just about what you can give to others. Self care is just simply about taking care of yourself. And if you choose to do for others, you can. But please know that you have options, right? You have options. So when you can recognize these behaviors, they're crucial for your personal growth. They're crucial for your personal growth. When you have these fears, oh my God, what are they going to think of me? They may not like me anymore. I don't want to start anything. I love this is a saying that I hear a lot in counseling. The people say, well, I just try to keep the peace. And so when they say I try to keep the peace where? Keep the peace with whom? Right? Are you keeping the peace within yourself, or you're keeping the peace with others? That's something to think about. Are you keeping the peace within yourself, or are you keeping the peace for others? So the next thing we're going to be talking about is going to be those behaviors of people pleasing, signs of people pleasing. What does that look like? Apologizing excessively, avoiding conflict at all costs, feeling guilty for exerting your needs. So one question you can ask yourself is, do I feel anxious for saying no? Am I constantly seeking the approval for others? This is very big if you're a part of a ministry. Are you serving for God, or are you serving so people will like you and people will see you and people will praise you and people will affirm you? Because when you do that, you're going to always be performing. Okay. Recognizing these behaviors is the first step toward change. Okay. Recognizing people pleasing behaviors is crucial for personal growth. Common signs include apologizing frequently. We talked about that. Feeling guilty for exerting your own needs. That's another one. Avoiding conflict. So you might need to self reflect to find out if you have these tendencies, right? Because you want to break that cycle of people pleasing. Okay. You want to break the cycle of people pleasing. So if you realize that you have these things, first you got to recognize where and how people pleasing is showing up in your life. So where and how is people pleasing showing up in your life? Is it showing up because you just always apologizing? Is it showing up that you feel anxious, when you say no? It's showing up in the important, like, how is it showing up, for you? Are you always seeking approval? And you may not be saying, hey, come give me validation, approve me, but are most of the things you're doing for approval? The next thing, we're going to the next slide as soon as it moves. I don't know why my slides are moving slow with me today. So one thing that you want to do concerning people pleasing is that I'm going to give you some strategies. Okay. First, I'm going to give you strategies to overcome people pleasing. Strategies to overcome people pleasing includes setting clear boundaries. Wait a minute, I need to stay there, because as someone who counsels, I often see people who come in and they talk about boundaries. And so one of the things I'm always going to do when you mention boundaries is ask you, what boundaries do you have? Tell me what your boundaries are. Right? Tell me what boundary that you say you set, because sometimes we think we've set a boundary and we have not. So a boundary, and a lot of times I hear, well, people don't respect my boundaries, they keep crossing my boundaries. Wait a minute. So if people keep crossing your boundary, we have got to do an assessment there, right? So first we have to identify what your boundary is, and is it really a boundary? Because one of the most common things I hear is that we tell people don't do something and we think that is a boundary. That is not a boundary. Telling someone don't talk to me like that, that is not a boundary. That's you just saying, don't talk to me like that. You just gave a command or a rule. Okay. So that's one of the things that you want to consider, right? Being able to identify what your boundary is. And, if you have a boundary, okay? So boundaries, people cannot keep crossing your boundaries. I'm going to say that. People cannot keep crossing your boundaries. Let me tell you why. Because boundaries is about your response, it's not about theirs, right? So when you set a boundary, it's a guide to protecting you and keeping yourself safe. So people cannot continuously cross your boundaries. So in other words, um say for instance, I know I have a boundary of last minute things. This is one of mine. I do not I work a full-time job. I'm counseling, I have homework assignments, I have class, I have things I'm working on, I have a business. So I don't really have a lot of free time, right? So one of the things that I don't really like a lot is last minute projects. If you tell me, can you come and edit this? And it's like, wait a minute, you need it by today? Like, because I have to move some things around in my schedule. So here and there, when someone's in a critical emergency, I may do that, but I'm not going to constantly do that, right? I'm not going to continuously do that. So what happens is, when we say, well, they keep crossing my boundary. So my boundary is, if you come to me with more than one last minute project and you constantly do that, I'm going to tell you no. I'm going to tell you no, right? So you can't keep crossing it because I just told you no. I just told you no. So you can't. So what happens there, I keep my peace. and I keep my time, and I don't have to go through the stress and anxiety of moving my schedule around, right? So setting clear boundaries, setting those clear boundaries. So it's impossible for people to continue to cross your boundaries. You like, people can respect them or disrespect them, but they can't keep crossing them unless you allow them to. If you're not adjusting your access or adjusting your response, then it's you that's not enforcing it, right? So like a clear boundary could be like, if I let me give you an example. It's how you respond. It's how you decide to respond to a thing, right? So you may have I have a boundary that, hey, if you're gonna cuss and scream at me on the phone, then I'm gonna hang up. I'm not telling you to stop what you're doing. I'm just telling you that I'm going to adjust what I'm doing in response to you. So if I hang up on you, then you didn't cuss and you can't cuss and scream at me no more, right? Because that, like, I enforced and I held on to my boundary. Okay. So you got to learn what's acceptable. Ask yourself, what do I like and what I don't like? Because sometimes we're in anxiety and we're just full of, just so much stress and pressure because of things that were never meant to be on our plates. Because of things that were never meant to be on our plate. For things that we never should have engaged in, right? So engage in self-care. If you haven't watched my I think it may have been my very first or second video here, go down the playlist here on this page, JSM, and you'll see one on Nourish and Flourish. And so on Nourish and Flourish, what I did was I talked about the different types of self-care, because you have physical self-care, you have mental self-care, there are different types of self-care. So self-care is not just going to a spa with cucumbers over your eyelids. Self-care is setting boundaries. Self-care is telling people no. Self-care is, eating a good meal. Because if you're people pleasing, you're too busy to take care of yourself. You're not eating good meals and your mood is probably low. Some people come, as a counselor, sometimes people they may think that they are depressed. They may think that they need a medication and they need all this counseling, but in reality, they may not be depressed. They may just have a low mood because of what they're, allotting, what they're giving themselves to, right? So challenge your negative self-talk. So that negative talk that's coming up in you, the negative things that you say to yourself, oh, I should have, oh, I could have, I'm this, I'm not that. That is negative self-talk. You have to change the way that you talk to yourself. Another thing I recommend is seeking some support. Get a therapist. I'm going to introduce you to the wonderful team at the end of this video. So getting yourself a good therapist will help. My slides are once again moving slow with me. So I'm going to take you to the next thing, right? What is the definition of boundaries? We talked about that. This is a good place to screenshot. It's limits. We talked about the emotional, physical time, right? So I gave you an example of how I prioritize my own schedule, right? Personal space and privacy, right? I don't let strangers come over to my home. Emotional, protecting feelings, right? Uh, Practical tips: communicate your limits clearly. It's not a boundary if that person don't know. You can't say they're not respecting my boundary. Well, they didn't even know that was a boundary for you. You never said it, right? Sometimes people come from different backgrounds and they think that some things are okay that you may not think are okay. Okay. So communicate those things that are not okay with you. Be consistent in enforcing your boundaries, right? If you're not consistent, people will definitely, they will try you. And it doesn't mean that they're necessarily disrespecting you or crossing you. Sometimes you just don't enforce them. You don't tell people, hey, I don't like that. We have these people pleasers have automatic responses to people. It's yes, okay, uh-huh, yes, okay. Um, those things. Those are automatic responses for people pleasers. It's all my fault. I'm sorry. That's automatic responses of people pleasers. Okay? So we got to work on those automatic responses. So you have to be consistent in enforcing them. And when I tell you that setting boundaries will not be easy, it will not be fun. But you have to prioritize, do I care about my well being, or do I care about this person liking me and their approval? So understand that it is important that you say no. The importance of saying no is essential for self respect and self care. Here are some strategies for saying no. Use simple and direct language. Offer alternatives is if appropriate, right? So when they say offering alternatives, what that looks like. Offering an alternative when we talk about saying no. So let's just say, what can I come up with? Let me think of something. So for instance, hey, can you watch the kids tonight? Your alternative response could be, well, no, well, not tonight, but maybe, maybe next week I'm available. Right. And we talk about people pleasing. I do share something in that called capacity versus availability. Don't just automatically, remember I said people pleasers have automatic answers. Yes. Okay. I'm sorry. It's all my fault. Sorry. Those are automatic people pleasing responses. It's hard to say no because you're like, I'm going to let somebody down. They're going to find someone else to do it or they'll figure it out, right? So you say no by just being direct. Sorry, no, I can't. Don't put a sorry on it. Don't put an apology on it. You apologize when you've done something wrong, or you apologize when you've hurt someone. But sometimes we try to put the I'm sorry on it to make it a little easier to come out, right? So simple, no, I can't do it. I'm not available. I can't help you. Offer alternatives. Those alternatives. I can't watch your kids tonight, but maybe next Thursday. Or sorry, I can't really help you through your situation, but I know this really get great counselor over at JSM that can help you work through that difficult situation, right? So all of those are things that you can say, you can do, or you can use, right? Um, to do that, right? So when you think about businesses have certain systems in place, right? So if you wanted to book an appointment with one of us, right? One of the things that you can do is go to our website. All the information is there. That prevents us from having to explain to you who's who, what is what, give you all this information, and then we have a scheduling system. So that's a form of a boundary for us, right? So boom, you don't even have to talk to us. You can go find everything you need over there. If you have additional questions, we'll be glad to help you. Right? It helps us. It's a system in place. And just like a business have a system in place, you have to have a system in place. Okay? So saying no is essential for you. Okay? Give that other alternative if that's something you can do. Well, sorry, I can't, I'm not able to cook for your dinner tonight, but Pizza Hut has a special, right? Or whatever restaurant has a special, and it's only $10. You know, and see it as prioritizing self over pleasing others. It's not saying you don't care about others. It's just saying you care less about pleasing others. And when I tell you it's a freeing thing to get away from people pleasing, to no longer be a people pleaser, right? Definition of self care is intentional actions to nurture physical, emotional, and social well being. Intentional actions to nurture physical, emotional, and social well being. different self-care practice. I'm telling you, if you have not, I really did a more detailed a breakdown on self-care. It's called Nourish and Flourish. Definitely go back on our Facebook page, our YouTube page, and watch it. It's called Nourish and Flourish, and I break down all these types of self-care, what it does for you, how to get some self-care. I want to stop for just a second. I want to invite you to give financially to what we do. Help someone else get a little self-care, help someone else get a little TLC, emotional care. Imagine if you could give someone a therapy session, if you can give that working mom in your life, or that mom of four, or that stressed out dad or husband or brother or family member, the gift of therapy. Can I go ahead and say, put that on your holiday gift list? And it's not an insult. Maybe they want to care for themselves and get that support, but they don't have the means to. Or maybe just be a blessing to a stranger. Put that on your holiday list. All right. So the link is right down there in the corner. Okay. So, self care involves taking intentional steps to care for your physical, emotional, and social well being. Different practices can include regular exercising, journaling, spending time with your supportive friends, not just people that you call friends that really don't like you. Okay, the people that actually support you. Surround yourself with people who speak well of you, who make you feel good about yourself, not people that are constantly putting you down. I remember once I had a friend, I was in college, and I noticed that every time he was around, self esteem would get low. I would become more self conscious because this person's always talking about my weight or my size or my shape. And I say, you know what? I'm just not going to call this person a friend anymore, right? Because friends don't do that. Okay. So, um, that among other things. So, prioritize that. Create you a plan. Say, you know what? Every Tuesday I'm going to the gym. Every Wednesday night I'm a journal. I'm a journal Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I'm gonna hang out with my friends once a month or every 2 weeks. All right. So those are some self care ideas there. Okay. So we're moving along here. We're going to talk about real quickly challenging those negative thoughts, right? So challenging negative self-talk, really. Self-talk is that negative self-talk. You have to recognize what is harmful to you. You have to replace those with something that's not as damaging, right? Something positive. Use some positive statements to build your self esteem. So, challenging negative self talk is crucial in overcoming people pleasing. Identifying harmful thought patterns and using techniques like cognitive restructuring can help you reframe those thoughts. Incorporating affirmations, positive self talk practice can further build self esteem and reduce the desire to please others. Okay. So the next thing I want to encourage you to do, and I know you're going to say, no, I can't do this. Oh my God, I can't do this. That's hard. Seek some support, right? Seek some support. Seek support. Seek some further help, right? So is where can you go to get some further help and support? Maybe it's your good friends, your positive friends, you know, it can be a therapist, a support group. If you look on Facebook, they got pretty much a support groups for everything, right? Um, they have support groups for people pleaser recovery, or maybe just some group therapy, you know. All of these things can help you trace or understand why you have that behavior. Okay. So the next thing, I'm going to go ahead and conclude this. We're going to leave a little early tonight. So, I want to introduce you to this amazing team here at JSM Counseling. That's me right there in the orange. My name is Kiera. There's Carrie in the pink, Maria down below Carrie, and then there's Jennifer. She's an ALC as well as Carrie's also an ALC. And if you look over to your far over there and you see that gentleman, his name is Mr. Ben Snow, right? So you can see us in downtown Mobile. You have to book an appointment. Most of the time, I would encourage you to book an appointment because there's no guarantee that if you just walk in that someone will be as free. But we'll do our very best to assist you. So you can see us in downtown Mobile. So if you're in Mobile, you're in the Mobile area, you can see us there, or you can see us on video from wherever you are in the great state of Alabama, right? So you can book an appointment for a virtual. Some of us offer weekend availability, evening availability, morning, afternoon, whatever fits your schedule based on your needs. And Carrie and Jennifer accept insurances, right? They accept I can't remember the exact names, but they do accept insurance. So you can definitely just reach out and check out our website. You see it down there below. It says joannasnow.com/JSM counseling. All right. So that is joannasnow.com/JSM counseling. Right. I do want to tell you too. I haven't mentioned this on any of the lives, but I just want you to know that we do have a podcast. Okay. If you haven't heard about Moses in Session, wow. I mean, wow, it's really good. It's a really good breakdown. I think there's an older one there called 2355 if you want to go back and listen to that. I went back and listened to it, and it really really helped me in different areas in my life. So check out our podcast, by the way. Just check it out. Maybe if you're looking for something just on the go and you only have a few minutes, check that out as you're driving in your car. But you can text us or call us at that number right there on your screen. It's 251-348-0069. I think I zoomed in just a little bit far. I just wanted y'all to see that website and that phone number. Connect with us. We would love to connect with you. So once again, my name is Kiera. I'm a counseling intern here, and I would love, love, love to work with you along with this amazing team. So you can definitely like this Facebook page, and you can follow these amazing people. Check out our website as well. I want to tell you that you can support someone else in their mental health by visiting that website at the bottom of your screen right there. It's called joannasnow.com/donations. Give someone else the gift of mental health and therapy. Give someone else the gift of wealth. Because sometimes we say mental health, people have a bad connotation of what that means. Like, you think I'm crazy? No, I love you so much, and I think you need some self-care. So anyway, it's been a great day. Happy Wednesday. Let me know if you have any questions or anything in the comments. I would love to chat with you. So once again, I'm Kiera, and I am signing off for today. Take care of yourselves, and remember, you are worthy. Have a great